Ooh, so today the drink of choice is water with pineapple in it. And that is yummy. That is so good. I didn't do a lemon today. And I realized when I did my video last week, my water was in the picture. So I'm gonna try really hard, and my straw with my lipstick on it. So I moved it over here. Hopefully you can't see it now, because that's just kind of, ugh. One more sip before I get started. One more. Ow. Do you like my shirt? My shirt, look at how, can you see how long these sleeves are? They're pretty long. So I feel like maybe this is how they dressed to go to bed in the 1900s. That's just what this shirt feels like, but it looks really cool with a pair of jeans. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing today. Hey everyone, my name is Kiki, and this week we're going to talk about Prince. It is so hard to believe that he has been gone for 5 whole years. He was a huge talent. He was larger than life. And as I'm recording this, his 5-year anniversary passed just a few weeks ago. So I thought it would just be cool to sit back and dive into all of Prince's past and what he gave to us. He gave us a lot of music and other projects as well, which we forget about. And of course, we're also going to talk about his very sad ending, and we'll also talk about what still may come on behalf of Prince and how Prince at one point turned into a symbol. But he was a person. He changed his name to a symbol. Then he changed it back. So he was a person again. But he was always a person. He was always that. He was always a guy. Now, my name is not a symbol because I can't do that. Prince could get away with that. And he did for a while. We'll talk about that later. If you are already subscribed to my channel, I thank you so much. Thank goodness you're subscribed. Thank goodness you came back, because if you don't come back, it's kind of like throwing a party. You know, you buy all the food, you buy all the drinks, and then no one shows up. So you got to think of my videos like a big party, kind of, sort of. So thank you again. Thank you for returning. And if you are new here and you like hearing about stories about the artists that we love so much and grew up listening to, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below, because I gotta tell you, there's something else. The afterworld. And my videos, and more videos from me. Yeah. Then you could hit the like button. I also go live once a week on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock Eastern on Kiki.fm. We do a live radio show there. Sometimes we have artists on and we get to chat with them, which is so cool. I get to connect with all of you. So yeah, just do that. Hit that thumbs up button, the bell, and it'll keep you in the loop. If you want to be in the loop, be in the loop. It's good. Prince. Did you know that his real name was actually Prince? I thought it would be something else. I really did. I thought that maybe it was Leonard or Nathan or something like that, but no, his real name was Prince. Such an unusual name, but yes, he was born Prince Rogers Nelson. So he really had 3 first names, if you think about it. Now, I wouldn't call my kid Rogers with an S, but if you're a little quirky, Rogers may work for you. So that could definitely be a first name. Prince Rogers Nelson was born on June 7th of 1958 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And the soul of Prince, the actual being of Prince, is still very much alive in Minneapolis, as many of the landmarks he went to or was a part of when he was growing up are still recognized today. Prince was born at Mount Sinai Hospital, which today is the Phillips Eye Institute. Prince went to John Hay Elementary, Bryant Junior High, and graduated from Minneapolis Central High School. And that building, the high school, was torn down in 1982, which is so sad to me, because I think it would be really fun later on in life to have been able to run through the halls of that high school and say, oh my gosh, I am running through the same halls that Prince ran through. Think about that for a second. But, you know, then I think about it, and if it was me actually doing it, security would probably be called, excuse me, crazy woman running through the halls channeling Prince. Security breach. Get her out of here. That would be my luck. That would just be what would happen to me. You would probably be fine. And the elementary school, that is long gone. Even the address where the elementary school is where he went to, the address no longer exists, and the junior high is now a community center. cancer, so it's all gone. Every single school that Prince went to, all gone. So where did Prince's musicalness come from? Well, it came from his parents, because isn't that where it always comes from? Comes from the parents. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. His mom, Maddie Della, was a jazz singer and a pianist, and his dad used to perform with his mom in a jazz trio called the Prince Rogers Trio. So yeah, think about it. Prince's name came from his dad's stage name, because his dad's name was John Lewis Nelson, not Prince. So the Prince and the Nelson, all dead. Prince, the Prince we all know, didn't even like the name Prince. He wanted to be called something completely different, and the something he wanted to be called was Skipper. Excuse me, can you just call me Skipper? Don't call me Prince. I can't even imagine that, but they say it happened. I have to tell you, there's something else. Thank goodness he did not keep the name Skipper, because it just wouldn't have worked out. Oh my gosh, did you hear that new song, Little Red Corvette by Skipper? Do you see what I mean? It just doesn't even feel good to say that. When Prince was 10, his parents divorced, and his mom remarried a man named Hayward Baker, who gave Prince's mom another son called Omar, who Prince really did not get along with. And that makes things kind of hairy when you think about it. You don't like your brother. You don't like your new brother. I like my brother though. His name's Steve. Because you got to think about it this way. When the kids aren't happy, the parents are totally not happy, because you get the kids fighting all the time. That was rectified by Prince bouncing around from house to house. He would go to his dad's and go back to his mom's. So he was smart. He got out when he wasn't feeling the love, and he went back when he was feeling good again. Why can't we do that? Can't just pick up and go somewhere else and come back. We as adults can't do that. We just can't. We should be able to, though, think about that for just a second. You're not having like a good week. You should be able to just up and go somewhere. Like, you're not doing anything wrong. You're just clearing your headspace, and you come back and it's all good. I could never get away with that. Now, at one point during Prince's stay with his dad, I don't know, I guess things went awry. He got kicked out of his dad's house, so he went to stay with his neighbor, Andre Simone. Andre ended up working alongside Prince pre-revolution, the revolution, not pre-revolution war, because that would be way too early on. Pre-the revolution, the band. And as time went on, Andre and Prince, they stayed connected, and Andre did some pretty great things that we all are familiar with. Andre Simone did a lot of things, and among some of them, he produced some big old hits for Jody Watley. Who doesn't love Jody? I love Jody Watley. And some of those big songs that she did, Looking for a New Love and Real Love. Yeah, Andre Simone, the neighbor of Prince, whose basement that Prince stayed in, he produced those songs for Jody Watley. Prince always seemed to, it's what it seems like. He always seemed to exude greatness, and Andre did as well. And Andre was just one piece of greatness that was around Prince at that time. And gosh dang it, if I could have just touched Prince one time, maybe some of that greatness would have rubbed off on me. Maybe just a smidge. I would take a smidge. Along came a guy named Owen Husney. Who the heck is Owen Husney? Well, Owen Husney is responsible, along with Andre, for discovering Prince and getting Prince signed to Warner Brothers Records. Things we all just either didn't know about or forget about. Andre, Owen. Big pieces of Prince's career. When Owen got Prince signed to Warner Brothers Records, that was the biggest record contract for a new artist that Warner Brothers had ever seen. So Owen, yeah, he totally knew what was up. And then bring in Chris Moon. Who's Chris Moon, Kiki? Well, Chris Moon is the guy who created Prince's first demo tape. So we got Andre, we got Owen, and we got Chris. 3 people, very highly, super duper responsible for allowing Prince to get noticed and take off. Prince gets signed to Warner Brothers Records, yeah, that big old record contract deal thing. Once Prince got signed to Warner Brothers Records, him and Owen took off to Sausalito, California to produce and release his first album called For You. On that first album, Prince did basically everything creative for it. He wrote it, produced it, even played all of the instruments on most of it. And when I read that, you know what immediately popped in my head? Paul McCartney and Linda McCartney doing the song with Wings coming up. Remember that? Paul did everything for that song. He was all the band members. He played all the instruments. That's exactly what I thought of. And let's face it, Prince is not called a genius for no reason. Even everyone around him could see, you know what? There is something special about this guy. He's got a cool name and he's really good at what he does. So I can only imagine what his manager and everybody around him were saying to themselves at that time. This guy's gonna hit it big. 1980, that proved to be a complete pivoting point for Prince as he got dirty. Really, he got dirty. He released his third album called Dirty Mind, and he did exactly what he wanted to do, and that was to basically shock people. He was a shocker, but I kind of feel like he wasn't really shocking. Does that make any sense? Like, I wasn't shocked by Prince, but a lot of people were very highly shocked by what Prince had to say. Dirty Mind, it was all about sex, which apparently everybody was completely into because Dirty Mind, it went gold. And the very funky single called Uptown peaked at number 5 on the Billboard dance chart. So now people are actually questioning Prince. Who is this Prince person? I like Prince. I wanna love Prince. I wanna be like Prince. I wanna just listen to everything Prince. Rick James, he liked Prince too. He liked Prince so much that he got Prince to open for him on his Fire It Up tour. Imagine that. Imagine that. You're just kicking it all off and then here you go touring with Rick James. And mind you, we are still in the year 1980, so Prince was tearing it up as fast as he was blazing through the music scene. Trivia time! Okay guys, do you remember this song? Oh wee oh. I think I gotta know ya. Jungle Love. Oh yes. Doing the side to side dance. Oh wee oh. Ow. You know it. It is Jungle Love by The Time, also known as Morris Day and The Time. Well, did you know that in 1981, Prince created The Time? Oh, I gotta take a sippy. That's good. For The Time, Prince actually wrote and performed in The Time, but he had an alias. There he goes with the name thing. He started, creating these different names for himself. Prince would occasionally appear as either Jamie Starr or The Star Company. Even though he was using different names, I guess people knew that Prince was a part of The Time. I guess he just wanted to stay in the background, and let The Time have their moment in time, maybe. But we'll get to more of the name change and stuff in just a bit. In 1981, he's done a lot already. 1980 and 81, Prince went to make his first appearance on Saturday Night Live. He only appeared on Saturday Night Live 4 times, and when he went on that first time on February 21st of 1981, he was considered, this crazy, the new act, and Todd Rundgren was the main act of the show that night. 1982 arrives, and who didn't like themselves a double album? A few years prior to that, I was so excited when Grease, the movie soundtrack of Grease, and the movie soundtrack of Saturday Night Fever, they both came out on double albums. Do you remember that? I had both of them. I mowed the grass 25 times a week so I could save up the money to go and buy each of those albums. And the double album was like getting 2 records for the price of 1. So when Prince put out the album 1999, that was a double album as well. And who didn't like themselves a double album? And a double album from Prince? Big bonus. 1999 was Prince's 5th album, but it was his first to record with his band, The Revolution. A lot of people, they have come and gone from The Revolution, but the current members include Brown Mark, Matt Fink, Bobby Z, and of course, Wendy Melvoin and Lisa Coleman. The big hits from the album 1999 include Delirious, 1999, of course, and Little Red Corvette. And if you didn't know who Prince was before the 1999 double album came out, you sure knew who he was when it did. The album peaked at number 9. It went quadruple platinum. That's big. And it's also been known to be called one of the greatest albums of all time. Prince, he was having no problem ruling the music charts, but something was maybe missing a little bit. He wanted to be on the big screen. He did get his chance to be on the big screen as he he starred in the movie Purple Rain. Who went and saw that 5 gazillion times? I did. I went to the Castle Cinema in Providence, Rhode Island, and I would just watch it over and over again. I think it was like $1 to get in. And Purple Rain is said to be kind of sorta loosely based on Prince's life. And the soundtrack, Purple Rain, was #1 for 24 weeks on the Billboard 200. That's a lot of weeks to be up there at the top. It got him 2 Grammys at the 27th Grammy Awards. And he had both the #1 album and the #1 movie at that time in 1984. Who can say that? You know what? I was thinking, and I didn't look into it, but I'm wondering if Whitney Houston did that with The Bodyguard and the song I Will Always Love You. I don't know, but if you know if that's the same situation there, let me know in the comments down below. Or am I totally off base? Maybe. Purple Rain, that movie, who did not want to be with Prince on the back of that motorcycle? But Apollonia, she got that seat on the motorcycle. She was the girl. She was Prince's girl, yeah. At this point, Prince was now everywhere. So from 1980 to 1984, Prince ruled it, man. He ruled it. And remember Tipper Gore? Where is that coming from, Kiki? Well, I'll tell you. She is the second lady of the United States. She was married to Vice President Al Gore, but Tipper and Al, they separated in 2010. Another fun fact that I did, not that it's fun, but another fact that I did not even, I thought they were still married. I thought Tipper and Al Gore were still married. I didn't follow. And I don't follow political romance. I just don't. Music romance, that I follow. I do. Well, when Tipper heard her 11-year-old daughter, Karenna, listening to Prince's song, Darling Nikki, she lost her mind. Because Darling Nikki is one of those explicit songs by Prince. It's about really getting down, having some fun with yourself, if you know what I mean, without coming out and saying it. If you know what I'm saying, you get it. So Tipper heard this whole thing going on. She is like, oh no, honey, no. So you know that sticker you sometimes see on a record cover? It says parental advisory, explicit lyrics. Well, Tipper Gore was responsible for that big round sticker, or maybe square. Maybe it was a square sticker and it was in black and white. Like you could not miss that sticker. If it was there, you saw the sticker. Tipper got the sticker done. She got the sticker put out there, and I guess that's a good thing, because if you don't want your little chitlins hearing some bad stuff or some questionable lyrics, at least you know you're prepared. Because if you let them hear it, then you were warned by that sticker. You were warned. In 1985, Prince released his 7th album, Around the World in a Day. Who could do that? That's a lot, going around the world in a day. But Prince made it happen. And 2 really different sounding songs. Different sounding, I mean, than how Prince had sounded in the past. 2 different sounding songs came off of that album. And they were called Pop Life and Raspberry Beret. You know, the kind you find in a secondhand store. Right? These 2 songs just sound different than what Prince gave us prior. Not in a bad way. They were just different. Now, Prince said after this album came out, Around the World in a Day, he was not touring anymore. That's it. It was going to be over. No more touring for Prince. But he didn't really, that really didn't come true, because after he released his album Parade, he went on tour again. And many, many times after that. On the Parade album, there was a great song called Kiss. You know that song. I just want your extra time and your kiss. Like that, you gotta really fast to make it sound like Prince was doing it. And like not even too long after that, remember Tom Jones covered the song Kiss with the Art of Noise? Do you remember that? I thought it was bizarre. I just thought it was really strange how Tom Jones took this kind of newish song and covered it. And it was Tom Jones. My mom and grandma loved Tom Jones. I like Tom Jones because my mom and grandma listened to Tom Jones, and they took me to Atlantic City when I was like 10 to see Tom Jones. I know. This is what it was, kids. So I had nothing against Tom Jones. I just thought it was really crazy. But it was a good choice for Tom to cover that Prince song, because it got him right back out there in front of everybody. So then I'm thinking, well, are women still throwing their underwear on stage for Tom Jones? Maybe they did. Maybe they're like, oh, we're going to keep throwing underwear for Tom because he just sang a Prince Prince song. Maybe. And another fun fact, Tom Jones and Prince share the same birthday, June 7th. I mean, come on. That's crazy. Tom said he did see Prince after he released the cover of Kiss, and he let him know that he was very thankful for allowing him to cover that song. And he said that he never asked Prince what Prince thought of his version because he didn't think he would like the answer that Prince would give him. But I don't think Prince would say anything negative to Tom Jones, who had been around for eons. Prince seemed like a really cool and respectful individual. So I just don't see that Prince would have said anything bad to Tom Jones' face. I just don't think that would have happened. In 86, the band The Revolution, they were no more. And then in 87, Prince did a duet with the lovely Sheena Easton. Remember the song You Got the Look? Did Prince and Sheena date? They did. They did. And I guess their first date was really strange. They went out on the date and Prince refused to speak to Sheena. He said he wanted to connect with her on another level. Imagine like being on a date, a first date with someone for hours, and you're not saying anything to each other. She was trying to get him to talk. She's like, please, just talk to me. Nope, he wouldn't do it. He would not talk to her. At the end of the day, she loved it. She thought it was hot. Like she said, oh, this is, I mean, because he was really just kind of pulling her along, you know? And she liked it so much that he eventually wrote a song for her called Sugar Walls. That song peaked at number 9, and it was under his alias name, Alexander Nevermind. Where did he come up with these names? That's what I want to know. They're funny. Now it's the late 80s. Sheila E., the amazing, incredible Sheila E., was his drummer. Do you remember when she came on the scene? It's like, who is this amazing woman slamming on these drums like nobody's business? And she's still incredible. Guys, go and follow Sheila E. She is absolutely beautiful, and this woman is so, oh my gosh, so talented. Prince went on to release more albums, and he then worked with Madonna on her Like a Prayer album. Again, that's why I love doing these stories, because you learn so much and you remember. I don't even think I knew that, period. I don't even think I knew that Prince worked on Like a Prayer with Madonna. I really don't. So you ask, did he have aliases for the Like a Prayer album? No. He went on, he worked on the Batman movie and that soundtrack. He went on tour in 1992. Even though, remember, think back for a few minutes, he wasn't going to go on tour ever again, but he was still out there hitting the road. Now in 1992, this is when all of us people started to get delirious and confused, because that is when Prince turned into a symbol. Do you remember that? I didn't get it. A lot of people just did not get it. It was the symbol with the man and the woman combined symbol. He did that. He had a guitar made to look like the symbol. Then he became known as the artist formerly known as Prince. That's a lot to say right there. I'd rather you can't blurt out a symbol though. You can't talk symbol. How do you do that? You can just type it or text it or something, but you can't say it. So you had to attach some words to it. The artist formerly known as Prince. That's what he did that. Why did Prince turn into a symbol? Well, it is said that he did that to irritate his record label. He never said, listen, I'm mad at you. I'm mad, so I'm going to turn into a picture. Never said it. Never said the words. But in the year 2000, after he finally got out of the record contract that he was in with Warner Brothers, he went back to using the name Prince, which kind of like you read between the lines. You got to kind of, visualize. Well, maybe that's why he did do it. At that point, Prince had still owed Warner Brothers 5 albums, and Prince had 500 plus unreleased songs in his back pocket. So he could have easily just cranked out 5 albums for Warner Brothers, but I guess he felt like he was just bound and tied by a contract he just didn't want to be a part of any longer. I'm just reading in between the lines, guys. I don't know for sure. In the years that followed, Prince did the halftime show at the 2007 Super Bowl, which was so good. He released a lot more music, and he went on tour many more times. So Prince was just still kicking it and out there doing what he loved to do. Then we get to April of 2016, and Prince basically got the flu. He postponed a couple of his shows, and he performed his last show on April 14th, even though he was just still not feeling quite right. On his flight flight back to Minneapolis after that last show. He did become unconscious, so he was taken to the hospital, and he left the hospital before he really should have. And even though he did that, he seemed to be doing well. He seemed to be okay. He actually did some appearances, but on the morning of April 21st of 2016, 911 was called because someone found Prince unconscious in his home, like out of nowhere. Come to find out, sadly enough, when paramedics got there, they discovered that Prince had actually been dead for about 6 hours. About a month later, on June 2nd, it was released to everyone that Prince died from an accidental overdose of fentanyl. He was only 57 years old, and just before that, leading up to that point, with the exception of him having the flu, he seemed to be fine. In 2018, authorities closed the whole case of Prince and his death, so he was actually taking a counterfeit drug. How does that happen? How does that happen? Prince's family said someone should be held accountable for what happened to him, right? It just makes sense. You're taking one thing, but it's laced with something else that killed someone. Just still to this day doesn't seem right. We've definitely heard stories before of people taking drugs they have gotten from their local pharmacy, and then turns out that they're not taking what they thought they should be taking, what the label said they should be taking. So yes, these things have happened, but this just seems something's off about it. Just my feeling. Fentanyl is said to be 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine, which is pretty potent. I mean, that is hardcore. So how can you just let that go? I don't know. I think it makes sense for people to still wonder today how the death of a mega superstar, a musical genius, be dismissed. And the case ended in 2018, and that was it. Case closed. It's over. It was an accident. They couldn't find any wrongdoing, so that was it. We are still hearing about Prince today, and his younger sister, Tyka Nelson, is actually tasked. She's one of several people to get a lot of Prince's unreleased music out to the universe. And she has said that she will not, and I quote from her interview with Rolling Stone magazine, she will not get off this planet until he gets every single solitary thing he worked so hard for and preserved for all of the world to hear. And it sounds like there are not only hundreds of songs, but there are thousands of unreleased songs in the Prince vault. So for a man who designed the clothes he wore and taught himself everything evolving around music, we can only hope to hear more of Prince in the future because he was great. I hope you enjoyed going back and remembering things about Prince, or even learning something about Prince that you had never known before. So go ahead in the comment section down below and share with us your favorite memory of Prince. Remember, guys, to be kind to everyone, be free, and as always, it is just so important that you always continue to keep rocking. See you next week.